At 17, Blaise Pascal was already doing something that surprised the adults around him. He was solving problems they thought were too difficult for someone his age. But Pascal was not interested in being called a genius. He wanted to understand how things worked. Numbers, machines, air, water, pressure, probability, the human mind, and later, something even harder to measure, faith. His life would move between mathematics and religion, between machines and miracles, between cold logic and deep questions about the human heart. It was a life filled with brilliance, illness, doubt, and change. And it began in France, in a quiet family home where a young boy was learning to think for himself. Blaise Pascal was born in Clermont-Ferrand, France, in 1623. His father, Étienne Pascal, was a serious and educated man. He worked in finance and had a strong interest in mathematics. When Blaise was still a child, the family moved to Paris. Étienne decided to educate his children himself. He wanted Blaise to learn languages, history, philosophy, and other subjects before studying mathematics. But the boy was naturally drawn to mathematics. One day, his father discovered him working on geometric ideas. Blaise had been trying to understand shapes and relationships without formal instruction. His father was surprised. He realized that the boy had a special mathematical mind. From then on, mathematics became an important part of Pascal's education. He learned quickly. Very quickly. But there was something unusual about him. He did not simply memorize rules. He wanted to know why the rules were true. That habit would follow him throughout his life. As a teenager, Pascal began studying geometry seriously. At 16, he wrote an important mathematical work about projective geometry. The result became known as Pascal's theorem. It was an impressive achievement for someone so young. But Pascal was not finished. His father worked with numbers every day. He had to perform long and difficult calculations. Taxes, accounts, financial records. For a human being, this could take hours. Pascal looked at the problem differently. What if a machine could do the arithmetic? So he began building one. He designed a mechanical calculator that could add and subtract numbers using gears and wheels. It became known as the Pascaline. The machine was complicated to build. Pascal had to deal with problems that had nothing to do with pure mathematics. Gears had to fit together. Numbers had to carry from one position to the next. The machine had to work reliably. It took years of effort. But eventually, Pascal created a working mechanical calculator. It was one of the earliest mechanical calculating machines. The young mathematician had turned an abstract idea into a physical object. And that was one of the themes of his life. He wanted ideas to do something. He wanted mathematics to touch the real world. Then his attention moved toward nature. In the 17th century, scientists were beginning to question old assumptions about the physical world. One common belief involved a strange idea. People thought nature could not tolerate a vacuum. If you tried to create empty space, something would always rush in to fill it. Pascal became interested in this problem. He studied the experiments of Evangelista Torricelli, who had used mercury to demonstrate that air had weight and that atmospheric pressure could support a column of mercury. This was a major idea. Air seemed invisible. But if air had weight, then it could exert pressure. Pascal wanted to know more. He designed experiments to test how atmospheric pressure changed with altitude. His brother-in-law, Florent Perrier, carried out one famous experiment on the Puy de Dôme mountain in France. Mercury levels changed as the experiment moved higher. The result supported Pascal's view that atmospheric pressure decreases with altitude. The invisible air around us was not nothing. It had weight. It pushed. It behaved according to physical laws. Pascal helped make this idea clearer. His work on fluids and pressure became part of the foundation of fluid mechanics. The unit of pressure called the Pascal is named after him. But mathematics was about to lead Pascal somewhere else. A gambler came to his friend, the mathematician Pierre de Fermat, with a problem. It was about a gambling game that ended before all the planned rounds were completed. How should the prize money be divided fairly? At first, it sounded like a simple gambling question. But Pascal saw a deeper problem. How do you calculate the chance of future events? What is a fair decision when you do not know what will happen? Pascal began exchanging letters with Fermat. Together, they developed important ideas in what we now call probability theory. They studied possible outcomes. They counted combinations. They calculated expected results. Their work helped create a mathematical language for uncertainty. Today, probability is everywhere. Weather forecasts use it. Insurance companies use it. Scientists use it. Engineers use it. Games and statistics use it. But in Pascal's time, these ideas were new. He was taking uncertainty itself and turning it into mathematics. There was something almost strange about it. The future could not be known. But it could be studied. It could be measured. It could be described with numbers. And Pascal was becoming one of the people who made that possible. Yet while his scientific work was growing, Pascal's personal life was changing. He had suffered from poor health for much of his life. He often experienced severe pain and exhaustion. But there were also moments when his attention moved away from science. His father died in 1651. Pascal's relationship with religion became increasingly important. He became connected with the Jansenist religious movement and the community at Port Royal. For Pascal, religion was not simply a tradition. It was a serious question about existence. He began asking questions that mathematics could not answer. Why are human beings unhappy? Why do people seek pleasure and then become dissatisfied? Why do we fear death? Why do we want to be loved? Why do we search for meaning? And can reason alone answer these questions? One night in 1654, Pascal experienced a powerful religious experience. He later recorded it in a short piece of writing known as the Memorial. He kept the text hidden inside his clothing. It described an intense encounter with God. Pascal did not publish it during his lifetime. Instead, he carried it privately. From that point, religion became even more central to his life. But he did not abandon reason. In fact, Pascal became interested in the relationship between reason and faith. He understood that they could answer different kinds of questions. Mathematics could tell you how a system worked. Physics could explain pressure. Probability could describe uncertainty. But none of them could fully explain what it meant to be human. This tension became one of the deepest themes in his writing. Pascal began working on a large defense of Christianity. He never completed it. After his death, his notes were collected and published as the Pensées, or Thoughts. The book contains fragments rather than one finished argument. Some are philosophical. Some are religious. Some are observations about human behavior. And many are remarkably direct. Pascal wrote about people who spend their lives trying to escape silence. They chase entertainment, money, status, pleasure, success, anything that keeps them from sitting alone with their own thoughts. He called this tendency diversion. The idea remains familiar. A person can be surrounded by noise and still feel empty. Pascal believed that human beings were caught between two extremes. We are small compared with the universe. But we can think about the universe. We are physically weak. But our minds can understand things far larger than ourselves. This led to one of his most famous ideas, the thinking reed. A human being is like a fragile reed in nature. The wind can destroy us. Illness can stop us. Time eventually ends every life. But there is something special about the human mind. We know that we are fragile. We can think about our own existence. We can ask why we are here. For Pascal, that ability gave human life a strange dignity. A person may be physically insignificant, but a person can understand that fact. And that matters. Pascal also became famous for another idea connected with faith, Pascal's wager. His argument was not a mathematical proof of God's existence. Instead, he considered the practical choice faced by someone who cannot know with certainty whether God exists. If God exists and a person chooses faith, the potential gain is enormous. If God does not exist, the cost of belief may be limited. Pascal presented the question as a decision under uncertainty. It was another example of his mind connecting mathematics with a human problem. But Pascal's religious life did not make him stop thinking scientifically. He continued working. He studied mathematics. He worked on geometry. He explored probability. He designed machines. He thought about physics. He even became involved in the development of public transportation. In Paris, Pascal helped organize a system of horse-drawn carriages that followed fixed routes and schedules. It was an early form of organized public transport. Again, his approach was practical. Find a problem. Understand it. Build a solution. But his health continued to decline. Pascal was never a strong man physically. He often lived with pain. His body became weaker as the years passed. Yet his mind remained active. By his late 30s, his health had deteriorated badly. He died in Paris in 1662. He was only 39 years old. 39. For someone who had already contributed to mathematics, physics, engineering, probability, philosophy, and religious thought, his life had been remarkably short. And perhaps that is what makes Pascal's story so striking. He did not live long enough to finish many of the projects he began. But his unfinished work continued. His mathematical ideas influenced later generations. His work on probability became part of modern mathematics and statistics. His studies of pressure helped shape physics. His calculator became part of the long history of computing machines. His philosophical writings continued to challenge readers. And his religious questions remained alive. Pascal never saw science and faith as simple enemies. He understood that human knowledge had limits. A mathematical equation can tell us something precise about the world. But it cannot tell us everything about the human experience. A scientific experiment can measure pressure. But it cannot measure love. Probability can describe uncertainty. But it cannot decide what a person should value. Pascal lived in that space between knowledge and mystery. And he was not comfortable with easy answers. That may be one reason his story still feels modern. We live in a world filled with machines that can calculate faster than Pascal ever imagined. Computers can process billions of operations. Satellites can measure atmospheric pressure from space. Scientists can calculate probabilities involving enormous amounts of data. And yet the basic questions remain. What makes a life meaningful? Why do people fear death? Why do we want certainty when certainty is impossible? How should we make decisions when we do not know the future? Pascal asked these questions centuries ago. He did not always give simple answers. In fact, he often showed why simple answers were difficult. That was his strength. He could look at a complicated problem and refuse to pretend it was simple. He could study a vacuum and discover that empty space was not as simple as people thought. He could study gambling and find a new mathematics of chance. He could build a machine that turned gears into calculations. And he could sit quietly and ask what mathematics could never measure. His life moved between two worlds. Numbers and faith. Machines and mysteries. Proof and uncertainty. The physical universe and the human heart. Perhaps that is the real meaning behind the phrase mathematics and miracles. Not that Pascal used science to prove miracles. And not that every mystery has a supernatural answer. It is something more personal. Pascal lived at a time when science was opening new doors. He helped push those doors open. But he also understood that every answer can reveal another question. The more we learn about the universe, the more we realize how much remains unknown. Pascal knew that feeling. A young boy drawing geometric figures. A scientist studying invisible pressure. A mathematician calculating chance. A sick man thinking about eternity. All of them were the same person. Blaise Pascal. He spent his short life trying to understand both the world outside him and the world inside him. And perhaps that is why his story still matters. Because human beings have always wanted answers. We want to know how the universe works. We want to know what will happen tomorrow. We want to know whether our choices matter. And sometimes, the hardest question is not about the stars or numbers. It is about ourselves. Pascal never stopped asking.